Hi there. So, we're going to talk about the early astronomers. You should have a paper that looks like this. Okay. We are starting in this area, okay, on this side, and you'll need to flip it around and follow along as I am teaching it. Okay, let's get going. So, it says astronomy, the early years. So, we need to understand what these Greek words mean. So, think about words with geo. Okay, I'm going to give you a second. Where does it start with geo? For me, I'm thinking geography, geometry, geology, and or geode, those rocks, the sparkly stuff in the middle. And what those all have in common is that they come from the earth because geo means earth. So when we're talking about astronomy, we're talking about the geocentric theory. Centric means in the center. So it means Earth in the center. So that some of these old school astronomers thought that the Earth was in the middle and the planets and the stars were going in circles around the Earth. Okay, so Greek astronomers were looking at what stuff they could understand, and they kind of thought, okay, so every day you see the sun go, across the sky, so maybe it's going around us, and they had this idea that Earth was in the middle. Okay, and so Aristotle was one of those people talking about, where it might be. And so he was a philosopher, a Greek philosopher. You can see that's him and his little date. Ideas were based on speculation, okay, meaning that we're guessing, okay. He really thought that the universe was all around the earth in a perfect circle and that the sun was bigger than the earth. So he's right on that. And the stars were far away from the planets, which he was also pretty correct about, right? And so you see he's called a philosopher. That means he was a thinker. Okay, so he wasn't an astronomer. He was kind of a thinker, and he kind of thought, it's all about Earth. Earth is in the middle. Everything is surrounding the Earth. And so that goes well with the church because they, it's all about humans being special. And so the Earth must be in the middle. And you might get in a little trouble at that time if you went against that idea. Ptolemy thought that the planets went in little circles on the big circle. So kind of like they were going like this while they went all around, okay? He was not only an astronomer, but a cartographer, a mathematician. He was doing a lot of smarty pants stuff, okay? He was trying to figure out what order do the planets go in, which you're going to learn this year. And he tried to make like a good, clear chart of how those planets were organized. But he still thought that the sun was going around the earth. So he was still for that geocentric. Here's the picture. Earth in the middle, okay? And you have a place on your notes that asks you to draw this picture. Remember, you can always pause me, resume me, rewind me. So pause to draw that picture where you need to. But everything Ptolemy was doing was with the naked eye. He didn't really have, a good telescope or anything like that. But he did write a book about what he thought he learned. The opposite one is Helios. So helio means the sun. Okay, so heliocentric, what does centric mean? In the center. So heliocentric has the sun in the center, like this picture. You can use this to draw your heliocentric picture. We're going to ask you to do that again. Pause me. Okay, so in this, the Earth and the planets revolve around the sun, and we know this one to be true. The Earth is revolving around the sun. Copernicus developed this model or this idea, okay? Because he did that, he's considered the founder of modern astronomy, okay? He made that picture that we have now that we know to be true of how these planets were all arranged in those circles around the sun, okay? This was shocking. Everybody thought Earth was in the middle. Everybody could not believe that he was saying that the sun was in the middle. Okay? This was huge. This was shocking. They knew about all the planets except Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto because they're smaller, harder to see farther away. So they were not able to get a good grip on those at that time. So he figured out Earth rotates on its axis once daily and it revolves around the sun once per year. So every day is the Earth spinning, and every year is the Earth going in a big circle around the sun. Galileo supported the heliocentric theory of knowing the sun is in the middle by using the telescope. Okay, so now he's not just paying close attention to the sky, he's able to look and get a bigger, clearer picture with his telescope. Okay, he, this was his big deal, found that there were moons around Jupiter. Okay, because he was talking about the sun is in the middle. I have the proof. If you look in this telescope, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And like we said, the church was all about Earth being in the middle, and they weren't ready to accept that the sun was in the middle, and they were kind of in charge at the time. So Galileo got on house arrest for saying the sun was in the middle, even though now we know it's totally true. He literally got house arrest and was arrested and had to stay in his house. So what do we know now? We have the sun, the planets, their moons, and other little objects. There's meteors, comets, asteroids, all in our solar system that go on their own paths of those circles. They're not perfect circles, but we'll get into that later. And so Galileo, although he got in trouble, was correct. Okay, and there was a lot more that we based on that in the future. Okay, so how did we learn this? We had telescopes just like Galileo, but they got better and better, stronger, 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 stronger. Now we have telescopes up in space, okay, that are satellites and they're able to take pictures way up there. We had astronauts visit the moon. We have probes in the solar system. A probe is we're sending out a little device to take measurements, pictures, video, whatever else, and it's just going on a straight shot away from the Earth to gather data, just see what's out there. We send rovers like we do to Mars, and we have a lot of satellites and a lot of computers to help us figure these things out, okay? So we've come all the way from thinking the Earth is in the middle because all you have is your naked eye to look up in the sky at night to having all these tools and figuring out all of this. Make sure that everything on your notes page is filled out and this goes safe and snug in your binder. If you need to watch it again, rewind it, pause it, that's the point of the video. You always have the freedom. All right, have a great day.